nectar of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet. They could very easily drink the nectar and get its results. The demons, however, not having sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, were unable to achieve the result they desired. This shloka tells us a very important point. Very often in the material world, devotees have to mingle with the materialists. That's what we do for a living. And very often in this world, there are many occasions when we are working with people who have no concept, no faith, no understanding of Krishna. And sometimes, the place where we work is the same. The time where we work may be the same. The cause for which we work is also the same. So is the purpose. In fact, even the activity is the same. The ambition may be the same because we have the same goals we have to achieve at work. We have a case, we work with someone. And the place, the time, the cause, the purpose, the activity, it's all the same. Even the goal, the ambition is the same. But there is a difference between a devotee working and a non-devotee working. Because the devotee works always remembering that there is only so much of endeavor that he or she can do, but that ultimately we are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. That is the meaning of taking shelter. Taking shelter means that we don't endeavor. That it is not that we don't endeavor. We endeavor. You recall, when Govardhan Hill was lifted by Krishna, Krishna called all the residents of Vrindavan to come under the hill. That required endeavor on the inhabitants' part. They had to walk. They had to go to the hill. That was their endeavor. But then, because they took shelter of Krishna, automatically they took shelter of Govardhan. And because they took shelter of Krishna, even though they appeared to be ordinary people standing under an ordinary hill, it was an extraordinary pastime because they were actually protected under the lotus feet of Krishna, under his soothing shelter. So here also, Shukdev Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj that very often demons and devotees work side by side. But one can very easily drink the nectar of the lotus feet of Krishna because one group of people are always dependent on his mercy and they seek his shelter. The other group of people, those with demonic tendencies, they do not want to seek the shelter of Krishna because they believe that they are masters of their destiny. And they sincerely believe that they do not need anyone and they do not need any presence of Krishna. They don't need his blessings. So this is a very important point. And against this background, we can understand this principle stated in the shloka in the pastime of the churning of the milk ocean. So when Shukadev Goswami heard this, when Parikshit Maharaj heard this point, he became very intrigued. He said that I have heard that in this pastime of the Lord helping the devatas and the demons to work together, how did the demons and devatas ever work together, Shukadev Goswami? Nowhere in the history of Bhagavatam is there a time when the demons and devatas were sitting on one field, were present in one field, and they were not fighting. Isn't it true? Everywhere they were fighting. Every time demon and demigod met, they would fight. But Shukadev Goswami was saying that they both came together for a common cause. So Parikshit Maharaj said, how is it that they had a common cause? And Shukadev Goswami said, this is a very powerful pastime because in this pastime, right, the Lord is known as Ajita. Now, this is very interesting because in the churning of the milk ocean, we always remember Krishna in his form as Kurma avatar, isn't it? As the giant tortoise, who would hold Mount Mandara. But why is it that actually when you read this pastime, the description of Krishna doesn't come across first as Kurma. It actually comes across first as Ajita. Ajita means one who cannot be conquered. Ajita means one who is infallible. And so throughout this pastime, Krishna is actually described as Ajita. And when we understand the pastime, we will appreciate why he is known as Ajita. So the pastime begins actually with this point that Shukadev Goswami brings up. He said that one time, the devatas were very powerful. And at that time, they were actually kings of Swargaloka. And every time the demons tried to fight them, they were losing. But one day what happened was, Durvasa Muni was passing by on the road. And you all know Durvasa Muni. He's very famous, isn't it? He's actually particularly famous as a mystic yogi, but more famous for his anger management issues. because very often he would get very angry and he would either curse somebody or he would become upset with someone. So not somebody to cross path with actually generally. Unfortunately, as Krishna would arrange it, Durvasa Muni one day was walking on the road and he saw Indra on the back of his famous elephant Airavata. Durvasa, in a rare moment was actually feeling in a good mood. So he had a garland on him, took out his garland, and he decided that he wanted to give it as mercy to Indra. Now, Indra, unfortunately also was very puffed up about his status as king of Swargaloka. And this is the problem Bhagavatam says when we are materially advanced. If we are not careful and we don't check, it is very easy to forget that the material advancement is not the reason why we are actually prosperous, but it is Krishna's blessing. That is why we are prosperous. So Indra did not even get down from his elephant. And what he did was he just got Airavata to pick up the garland from the sage. And instead of handing it over to Indra, being an elephant, he just threw it down, not realizing the value of the garland, and stomped on it. So when Durvasa saw that, he was very upset. And he actually cursed Indra. And he cursed all the Devatas. And this is the problem when you come across someone like Indra. His curse is not just Durvasa, not just one person, but he cursed all the Devatas. He said, because of your pride, all of you, right, will lose all your power and your opulence. And true enough, after that curse, the Devatas found that they had no power to fight against the demons. And so whenever the demons fought them, they began losing all their powers. So they became very desperate because at this rate, they were going to lose Swargaloka. So being very anxious, they then turned to Brahmaji. And Brahmaji then said, I cannot help you because I'm also created in this material world. But let us all go to see Ajita, one who cannot be conquered, and let us pray to him. So they went to the milk ocean, and there they prayed to the beautiful form of the Lord with very sweet prayers. And at the end of the prayer, Brahmaji says something which is very important. He says, my Lord, we have expressed everything to you. Please fulfill the purpose for which you have come into this world. And why has the Lord come into this world? He has come into this world to check the atheistic temperament and advancement of the demons. And we should not think that he's only checking others and not checking us. We also have demonic tendencies in us. Every time we don't want to chant, every time we want to offend devotees, every time we want to be critical, all these are demonic tendencies. And therefore, Krishna comes to check our atheistic tendencies also. He comes to check our demonic thinking also. And so then, when Brahmaji prayed this way, Krishna appeared. And in a very loud and low rumbling voice, Krishna gave them very nice advice. The advice of Krishna to the Devatas is very useful for us. Krishna said that, my dear Devatas, you're very powerful and you have always been blessed by me. But remember one thing, what advice I give you now, you must follow. Because if you follow it, it will bring good fortune to you. At this moment, Devatas, you are not flourishing. You're not in any good condition. Because you have actually upset a Brahmana, because you have offended someone with your materialistic pride, you are now in difficulty. This is the first point we should take in our lives. Every time we are in difficulty, why to blame others? Others are not the source of our difficulty. Bhagavatam tells us it is our own activities that are the cause of our difficulties. It is our forgetfulness of Krishna that is the cause of our anxiety. So the first advice that Krishna gave was very correct. He said that you cannot blame the demons for your difficulty. This is a very nice point. When Dharma in the form of the bull and Mother Earth in the form of the cow, they were being beaten by Kali. And at that point of time, Parikshit Maharaj came and saw this heinous activity of Kali. He stopped Kali and then he turned to the cow and the bull and he told them that I am the king here, ready to punish this personality. But according to procedure, you must identify him as the perpetrator of the crime. So can you identify him? Like we do in court, the accused, is very often identified by the complainant. So here, Parikshit Maharaj wanted the cow and the bull to identify Kali. But the cow and the bull looked at each other, looked at the king and said, who is actually the cause of all our difficulties? It is not this personality. It is our own activities. And we are in this difficulty because ultimately Krishna wants us to be in this difficulty. And that's the same point that Krishna is advising the Devatas. Do not blame anyone, because now your time is not right. And this is the second point he gave us. Very often, we are actually products of time. Because we are in this material world, sometimes our time is good. Sometimes you can stand upside down on your head, for 30 years to achieve something. But if your time is not right, it will not come. But sometimes without separate endeavor, something can just come. It's amazing, isn't it? So this is very important point. Therefore, Krishna advised very nicely. We'll probably have to mute. Hare Krishna.
Manju, can you mute your uncle, please? Manju?
I think she may have accidentally pressed it.
Kiran bhai.
Are we all right? Okay,
Looks like it happened.
Yes. Sometimes a button is all it takes. So as I was saying, Krishna is saying to the Devatas now that your time is not right. And sometimes we have to be prepared that there will be times in our life when time is right. Sometimes it's not right. But we must accept, because Bhagavad Gita tells us that time is Krishna. So when time is not right, it is Krishna's will. When time is right, it is his blessing. So the Devatas were told, now you're not being favored by time. So do one thing. Go and seek a truce with the demons. Really? Go and seek a truce with the demons. Sit down with them, and both of you together must go to the ocean of milk, bring Mount Mandara, bring Vasuki as the rope, and start churning Mount Mandara. When you chant Mount Mandara, what will happen is that many, many things will come out of that ocean. There will be very beautiful things that will come out, Krishna was telling them. There will be things that will distract you from your objective. But your objective today, when you chant the ocean of milk, is actually to get nectar, Amrit. At the end of all the churning, there will be a great personality who will come, and he will have Amrit with him. What you must do is, you must be patient at that point of time. And eventually, by my mercy, you will actually get that Amrit. Do not fear. And Krishna ended by saying something very nice. And this is most practical instruction for us. It is in the 8th canto, 6th chapter, 24th shloka. And there Krishna says, my dear demigods, with patience and peace, everything can be done. What a nice point. 2 peace. If we are peaceful and we are patient, everything can be achieved. Then Krishna warns, if you are agitated by anger, the goal is not achieved. That is 2 A's. So when we are caught by 2 A's, agitation and anger, nothing is achievable actually. But if we are peaceful and patient, everything is achievable. And then Krishna told the Devatas, whatever the demons asked during that time, you just agree. You just agree. Now, actually, if I were the Devatas, I'll be very worried, because we know how demons are. If you want to agree to what they want, we are practically wiped out. But they had faith in Krishna. That's why they are Devatas and I'm stuck in this world, because they have great faith in Krishna. And therefore they said, Krishna, you have told us whatever happens, we have to agree, right? So we will agree. So after advising the Devatas in that way, the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, he disappeared from their presence. And so the Devatas immediately became very enthused. They thought, now Krishna has given us a road, and we will follow that road. So they all approached Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj, don't forget, is a great king. And actually, he is a great devotee. But unfortunately, because of all the Asat Sangha he was getting, he was actually still, in the mood of trying to conquer the world. Indra sat down with Bali and spoke sweet words to him and told him, Bali, what is the point of you and me fighting all the time? We all want one thing. We want Amrit. We want nectar. And now let me have a proposal for you. On your own, to churn out nectar from the ocean of milk is very difficult. On our own, it's very difficult. Let us both come together. We will go to Mount Mandara. which is a beautiful, powerful mountain. We will lift it because we are very powerful together. We will bring it to the ocean of milk. We will summon Vasuki, the king of the serpent. We will put him as the rope, that is the churning rope, and then we will churn. Many things will come out, Bali, and eventually nectar will come out. And when nectar comes out, please let us divide it 50-50. Of course, Bali Maharaj said, yes, this is a very nice idea, because the demons also wanted the nectar. But then Bali Maharaj and the demons were thinking, let us agree now 50-50. That's okay. But when the nectar comes, it will be 100 for us and nothing for them. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is how demons are. They'll say yes to everything until it happens. Then all the yes will become no. So as devotees, we have to be very careful with that tendency also. If we promise, and we don't keep our promise, it's actually a demonic tendency actually. So then Bali Maharaj, called all the demons, and Indra called all the devatas, and together they all marched to the shores of the milk ocean, and very close to it is Mount Mandara. And because they were strong, they lifted Mount Mandara and they started carrying Mount Mandara to the ocean. Unfortunately, they underestimated the weight of the mountain. Why? Because Mount Mandara, Bhagavatam says, is a mountain of gold. It is not a mountain of stone. I don't know, how well you know gold, but gold is heavier than stone. It's also more valuable actually. And therefore, when they carried it for a while, they realized they could not. The mountain came crashing down on them. The Devata shouted out to Krishna, because that is the natural tendency of devotees. In difficulty, devotees remember Krishna, But the demons never shouted for Krishna. But Krishna came anyway. And that is the effect of having association with devotees. Even if you're a demon, but you're with a devotee, Krishna at least comes for the devotee. And you get all the side effects, And in this way, Krishna came with Garuda. And he flew so beautifully like a resplendent sun. And he came immediately. Krishna did not have to lift Mount Mandara so much with effort. He just lifted it like someone would lift a garland. And he put it on the back of Garuda. Can you imagine? Krishna can lift Mount Mandara, but Garuda, how strong he must be. And after carrying Mount Mandara, Krishna looked at all the devatas and the demons. Their limbs were broken. They were all injured. They were disheartened. They were frustrated. Their thighs, their shoulders, everything was broken. But Bhagavatam tells us, Krishna, who knows everything, he appeared there, and with his merciful glance over the devatas and the demons, it's a package thing with Krishna. He never distinguishes, If Krishna were to distinguish between demons and devatas to that extent, then there would not be oxygen for the demons. They would not be able to make money. Frankly, I think demons make more money than devotees. And demons will tell us, we are very happy. You are the one struggling, waking up, like fools at 4 a.m. You have to have so much restrictions to your diet. You can't travel properly. You can't do anything properly. So demons also have the mercy of Krishna, but they are not grateful. Gratitude, is so important. But the demons were very happy. They became fine. And then what Krishna did was to help them. He told Garuda, lift up now this great mountain. And Krishna also sat on Garuda. And together they flew to the ocean of milk. And the devatas and the demons, they all came with them. Krishna very nicely put down Mount Mandara. And when he laid Mount Mandara on the ocean, it was there for a while. Then Krishna and Garuda left, because when Garuda was there, Vasuki would not come. Vasuki's enemy is Garuda, in the sense that Garuda's main diet is actually snakes. So Krishna is so considerate, Lord is very sensitive. He knows sometimes, that living entities may not adjust with each other. And therefore, Krishna is always trying to adjust things between us. It is like that. Even amongst devotees, we find the real challenge is to adjust, isn't it? But Krishna is all about adjustment. So he said, Garuda, come, let us go now. So they left. Garuda went and maintained a respectful distance, and Krishna left. And so at that point of time, Krishna stood aside and Vasuki came. Now, Vasuki agreed to wind himself around. And so his head was this side and his tail was this side. Now, the question now came, who should stand where? The devatas, they looked to Krishna. And here Krishna is Ajita. So what did Krishna do? Krishna took the devatas and he came to the head of Vasuki. Now, the head of Vasuki actually, is the most dangerous part of Vasuki, because that's the part where all his poisonous fumes comes out. Krishna was being considerate to the demons. And so by moving forward, he indicated the demons should go backwards. But demons being demons, they got very upset. The demons then began to tell the Devatas, do you know we are very advanced in Vedic knowledge? We know all the Shastras. We're very educated individuals. How can you make us stand at the back of a snake? We want to stand in the front because that is where we deserve to be. So Prabhupada writes in one of the purports there that being educated, being expert in Shastric knowledge doesn't mean we are actually godly or devotee-like. Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, they were very expert in all these things. In fact, if you recall, in the 7th chapter, 7th canto of Bhagavatam, there is an entire chapter dedicated to Hiranyakashipu advising his mother, Diti, on why she should not cry for Hiranyaksha's death. And he speaks that famous verse, in Bhagavatam, where he says, my dear mother, why are you lamenting for your son? Do you not know that the soul is permanent, but the body is impermanent? Shastra, Hiranyakashipu, he says, mother, life is just like travelers walking into a restaurant. They sit for a while and they drink something and they eat something. Then they go away. And that is how our life is. And then immediately after all that, he wanted to kill his son. So there's no meaning to this kind of Shastric knowledge. That is why the real purpose of Bhagavatam is that our behavior must change. Bhagavatam is B and behavior is B. So today we learn 2 P's, peace and patience. Everything can be achieved with peace and patience. My Guru Maharaj used to tell me, Devki, if you're not peaceful in life, you will become a patient in the hospital. You won't be patient, but you'll end up patient in hospital. So be peaceful, and then you will be patient. And today we also learn one other thing, and that is very important. Bhagavatam means behavior. That is what defines a devotee. So therefore, when Krishna heard the demon speaking so much Vedic knowledge, that it is our custom that we must stand in front, what did Ajita do? He adjusted. He just smiled and he looked to the Devatas and he said, come, let us go and hold the tail of Vasuki. So you see, Krishna is so adjustable. And my experience in devotional life is we also must learn to adjust. Those who cannot adjust, will be buried. But those who can adjust, we can always somehow find Krishna in every junction of our life. So Krishna is Ajita. How perfect an example he gave. So very dutifully, he agreed to the Devata, to the demons. And he went behind and he stood there and the demons stood here. And now they begin to churn. Great churning was there. And as they were churning and churning and churning, they found actually it was more difficult than it was supposed to be. Because as they were doing that, they found that somehow or another, Mount Mandara had no support. So no matter how well they churned, Mount Mandara began falling and sinking into the ocean. And at that point of time, they could do nothing. As the mountain went down, both sides thought, now nectar is gone. Nectar is lost to us. But again, the Devatas prayed to Krishna. They remembered Krishna's advice. Be patient, be peaceful. Don't become agitated. Don't become angry. When we are peaceful and patient, we will use our time to remember Krishna. But when we are angry and agitated, our mind is so cluttered with anger that the last thing in our mind is Krishna actually. And we are trying to find material solutions to material problems when we are agitated and angry. Just watch yourself in life. Every time you've tried to find a material problem, a solution to a problem, it's because we are agitated. But if we take a step back and say, what would Krishna want from me now? Then we will remember Krishna. So at that point of time, as Mount Mandara went down, seeing that this situation was beyond the demons and beyond the Devatas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavatam tells us, who is unlimitedly powerful and whose determination is infallible, he took the wonderful shape of a tortoise. He entered into the water and he lifted the great Mandara mountain. This is a very nice point. Prabhupada, in the purport to 878, very easy to remember, 878. When you have time, read the purport. Because Prabhupada says, here is the evidence that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the controller of everything. Prabhupada gives us nice advice in the purport. He says everyone has experienced hindrances. And we must accept as devotees that hindrances that come in our life are imposed on us by the supreme power. When faced by hindrances, devotees do not regard them as accident or chance. We regard them as the hand of Krishna. Tattenu kampam sushamikshamano, bunjena evatma kritam vipakam. A devotee blames himself for his misdeeds, but never blames Krishna. He then looks and sees that this is Krishna's mercy on me. When Sudama was very poor and he went to see Krishna, and after seeing Krishna in Dwarka as he came back to Porbandar, he was not angry that Krishna did not ask him what he wanted. Instead, he said something very nice. He said actually that Krishna is so kind to me, he never asked me for what I wanted because he knew if I ask for riches, I will forget him. That is why I'm in difficulty. This is how devotees think. So that is why the Lord now assumed the beautiful form of the Lord tortoise. Keshava Drita Kurma Sharira Jaya Jagadish Hare. So all dangers can be created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prabhupada says, but all these dangers can be removed by him. This is known to the devotees, but the demons cannot understand it. And so the Lord as Kurma lifted Mount Mandara, and the demons and devatas became enlivened and encouraged. They began to churn. And the tortoise, Kurma, do you know how big he was? Bhagavatam tells us the length of Kurma avatar was 800,000 miles. How accurate is Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam even gives us the length of the Lord, 800,000 miles. It's inconceivable for us. Prabhupada says it's like a large island. But Kurma avatar realized one thing. The devatas, despite churning, the demons, despite churning, they were not strong. They were rotating it. But Kurma realized that he also had to rotate Mount Mandara. So the Lord helped the demons and the devatas by actually moving. But Bhagavatam says the movement of the Lord for Mount Mandara was nothing. In fact, the Lord took the rolling of the mountain on top of his shell as a means of scratching his body, you know. It's like scratching his body. And he felt a pleasing sensation. You know, my father has this habit. Sometimes what he does is if he has a scratch on the back, he goes to some pillar or some corner of the house and then he puts his bag there and he scratches it. Whenever I see that, I'm thinking of how easy for Kurma it was that this mountain was just like that, you know, an itch on the back. And so Kurma started moving. But the devatas started becoming tired. The demons started becoming tired. Vasuki also started becoming tired. Actually, practically, Bhagavatam says Vasuki looked like he was going to die. That's how tired he was, actually. So Krishna again entered into the hearts of the demons in the quality of passion. He entered into the hearts of the devatas in the quality of goodness. And he entered into the heart of Vasuki in the quality of ignorance. Why? Just to encourage them and increase their various types of strength and energy. So start counting now. How many times has Krishna appeared in this pastime? He came now as Ajita, isn't it? And now he's there holding the rope with the devatas. That is Krishna. Now he has come as Lord Kurma at the bottom and he's also helping. Now he has come in the form of encouraging the devatas, demons, and Vasuki in the form of the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And when they became more tired, he came in the form of light breeze and rain. Sometimes droplets of rain enliven us, right? So Krishna provided that atmosphere for them also. And they continued churning, but they were still tired. So Krishna now assumed a 1,000-arm form and he sat on top Mount Mandara and he began to churn also. So practically speaking, the devatas and demons, they had nothing to do. And yet they were thinking that they were endeavoring. And that is our position also. How often we think I'm doing so much service. Because of me, so many things are happening. If I'm not there, nothing will happen. But we don't realize that right, left, center, back, front, Krishna is helping in so many ways. But we don't have the eyes to see him, you see, because we don't have the faith. So Krishna sat on top in the 1,000-handed form, bottom as Kurma avatar, Ajita, pulling as the rope, as the form of passion, ignorance, and goodness, in the form of light breeze and rain. It's amazing. There is no other pastime where Krishna appears in so many ways as this pastime actually. It's just amazing. And so with great earnestness, the churning began and began and began until something happened. Vasuki could not take the force of the churning and he started fuming poison from his throat. This great poison was known as hala hala, very powerful poison. Even the name sounds poisonous actually. So it was such a powerful poison that the devatas were feeling choked. But where were the demons? They were right in front. See the wisdom of Krishna. Krishna wanted to be in front because he thought when the poison comes, at least I'm in front. I don't feel it. He was saving the demons, but foolish people, they thought they wanted to be in front. And now the full effect of the poison was on the demons. Bhagavatam said they looked like shriveled trees that had been burnt, by a forest fire. So Vasuki looked like he was going to die also. So at that point of time, what were they supposed to do? Now Krishna, as Ajita said, let us all go and see Lord Shiva because he is very, very helpful. So they all went to see Shiva. And Lord Shiva then told them, I am prepared to help you now because it is the mood actually of great personalities that we must sacrifice our time and our effort, especially when others are suffering. In Bhagavatam 8th canto, 7th chapter, 44th verse, Lord Shiva explains to Parvati Mata, Tapyante lokatapena sadavaha prayasho janaha parama aradanam taddihi purusha asya akila atmanaha. The meaning is very beautiful. And this meaning is very practical to all of us. There it is nicely stated that those who voluntarily suffer because they see the suffering of others, they take on voluntary suffering just to help others who are in suffering. And Lord Shiva declares to Parvati Mata, this kind of behavior, this kind of worship is Parama Aradhanam. It is the highest worship, Parvati, the highest worship. So as devotees, so often, each one of you only knows how much sacrifice you have done, so much austerity you have taken for others. When you have services and programs and all, you do this. Why? Because by doing this, others benefit from Krishna consciousness. Therefore, this is considered very, very pleasing to Krishna. So now Lord Shiva came to the edge of the milk ocean, took the terrible poison and started drinking it. But because he was so powerful, he could neutralize the effect of the poison. And the poison remained just within the region of his throat. And that is why that area is bluish in the poison. And today he is known as Nilakanta because of his great sacrifice for humanity. The demons and devatas now became free of the poison and they started churning in earnest. Now many things started coming out of the ocean. And remember what was Krishna's advice? Whatever that comes out, you don't touch. Do not be distracted. That's very difficult. When I tell you the list, it's very difficult. Because the first thing that came out was Surabhi cow. Surabhi cow is a wish-fulfilling cow. And definitely when it came out, the devatas wanted it. But they kept quiet. And the great sages, they came and they took the Surabhi cow. Then the beautiful horse, Uchchaishrava, white, beautiful horse came. And Indra was thinking, this one should definitely be mine. But then Bali came and said, no, I want the horse. And Krishna and Indra remembered peace, patience, no anger, no agitation, be peaceful. Then 8 elephants came, and because the 8 elephants came, they naturally went over to the devatas without separate endeavor because of Airavata. That was all right. Kaustuba jewel came, and that was claimed by Ajita, Lord Vishnu himself. Then beautiful Apsaras came, and the demons wanted them. Then Rama, the goddess of fortune herself, came out of the churning of the milk ocean. And when she came out at that point, her beauty was so wonderful that the demons and the devatas wanted her. But she was looking, for who would be the most suitable person for her. And Lakshmi Devi in that part, she says very sweetly, someone may look very handsome, but is not wealthy. Someone may be very wealthy, but is not healthy. Someone may be very glorious, but is not famous. Someone may be very expert in something, but not expert in something else. So like that, the goddess of fortune found no one suitable for her until she saw Ajita, one who cannot be conquered. And the moment she saw him, She realized all the transcendental qualities are only present in the Lord. And Mother Lakshmi took a garland. She went to Ajita and she actually put the garland on him. So actually the marriage, so to speak, of Lakshmi Devi and Vishnu takes place at the churning of the milk ocean. And Prabhupada writes in the purport very nicely, this indicates that Lakshmi Devi belongs to no one but Krishna. And whatever Lakshmi that we have is not ours actually. It actually belongs to Krishna. If we do not use Lakshmi in the service of Krishna, she becomes Durga. And Durga we don't want in our pockets, because Durga Mata means we are subject to this illusory energy. Such a nice point. So again, the Devatas, they remembered Krishna, be peaceful. Then Varuni, the goddess of beverage, which is considered alcoholic, she came. And the Devatas, looked at her beauty, but the demons wanted her. And so Varuni went with the demons. And finally, a beautiful golden being came. And he was holding a wonderful jug that was golden. And now both the Devatas and the demons realize this is Dhanvantri. Dhanvantri is a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's also an avatar. So start listing down another name, another avatar in this avatar. Isn't it amazing how many forms of Krishna are in this pastime? And now he comes as Dhanvantri. And the moment he stood there with the nectar, what happened? The Devatas remembered Krishna's point and they were peaceful and patient, but the demons jumped and took the nectar. They took the pot, they took the jug. Now imagine, you just put yourself in their position. You've been having faith in Krishna. Krishna says, don't worry, Amrit will be yours. And now Amrit is in the hands of the demons. Surely at this point, if I were the Devata, I would say, no, now I have to intervene. I think maybe Krishna forgot, or, he's become tired. I don't know, maybe, but I have to do something. But even then, the Devatas pulled their brakes, remembered peace and patience, and they had faith in Krishna. And what did they do? They waited very patiently. When Krishna saw them waiting patiently, something interesting was happening with the demons. The demons themselves could not agree how to divide nectar amongst themselves because they were fighting. And amongst the demons, there are stronger demons and weaker demons. And the stronger demons were saying now, it should belong to me. You all should take little share. They were fighting. And as they were fighting, Krishna, as Ajita, looked to the Devatas and he said, I am very pleased with you. You have been really peaceful and patient. But look at them. They are now agitated and they are angry. And therefore, nothing can be achieved by them, even though it looks like they have nectar. So now Krishna said, watch what happens. And Krishna took a beautiful form of Mohini Murti. Now you have to add Mohini Murti to your list also, isn't it? After Dhanvantri, now it's Mohini also. How many forms Krishna comes? And now, when Mohini Murti came, Bhagavatam says her description was par excellence. There was no other beauty in this all three worlds that can compare to the Lord. And therefore, when he came as Mohini Murti, he walked into the presence of the demons. The moment the demons saw the Lord as Mohini Murti, they all stopped fighting. They all stopped fighting. And they looked at Mohini Murti so wonderfully. They began asking her, where are you from, fair maiden? Are you married? And Prabhupada writes in the purport, these are the questions demons ask. The first thing when they look at a lady is she married? Because the idea is they want to marry her. And then, the demons, without even Mohini Murti answering anything, they say now, you look so wise and you look like you know everything. And Prabhupada writes, actually, they had no way of knowing if Mohini Murti was wise. But demons are foolish. When they see beauty of this world, they think beauty and intelligence are the same, but it is not. So they said that you take this nectar and now you divide it very nicely amongst us. This is like thieves dividing stolen property honestly. Have you heard of that term? Thieves went to steal something, then they sat down and they said, my dear brothers, now we have it. Let us honestly divide this. It's a ridiculous proposition. But they said, Mohini Murti, you take it now. We have full faith in you. Now Mohini Murti looked at them and said, are you very sure you want to have full faith in me? Krishna is giving them a chance. And he said, don't you know? You don't know anything about me. You don't know where I've come from. How can you trust me just like that? And the demons say, no, you look very wise, you look very nice, And every demon secretly wanted the favor of Mohini Murti. That's what they wanted. So Mohini Murti said, all right, all of you go and take your bath. You look terrible. Looked at the Devatas, you all also go and take your bath. Sit down on the shores of the ocean of milk. And when you're all ready, I will distribute nectar. Now, they all went to take their bath. They all sat down very nicely. And then Mohini Murti went to the Devatas and started giving nectar. And the demons were thinking, wait a minute, I thought nectar was for us. What is this? But Mohini Murti turned to the demons, and this is what she said. And Prabhupada paraphrases it in 8 canto, 9 chapter, 23rd shloka. In the purport, Prabhupada says, the demons were told by the Lord as follows. The demigods are very miserly, and they are not excessively anxious to take the nectar first. So let them have it first. That was the Lord's logic. They are miserly, they are not anxious. Let's give them something. Since you are not like them, you are very noble. You can wait a little longer. You're all heroes, and you're so pleased with me. It is better for you to wait until after the demigods drink. So they were so captivated by her beauty, they thought this is very good logic. So they all sat and waited, except for one demon, Rahu. Rahu, that demon, somehow or another, he sensed, that Mohini Murti must be someone who is not normal. And so he went in disguise and sat on the side of the Devatas. But to show the world the effect of nectar, this pastime was arranged for Rahu to sit there. Because when Rahu sat there, the sun and the moon could immediately recognize Rahu. And they said to Mohini Murti that this one is a demon. At that point of time, after she had given him some nectar, she then used Sudarshan Chakra and cut off the head of Rahu. But Rahu did not die. That's the power of nectar, because it was in the presence of his head. And that is why Rahu is still today one of the Navagrahas, right? It is there as a planet. And it causes trouble still to the sun and the moon. And the origin is in the churning of the milk ocean. Now, once Mohini Murti divided the nectar beautifully and expertly, by the time she came to the last Devata, that was the last drop. And the moment the last drop was finished, what did Mohini Murti do? She dropped the beautiful flask, or the jar. She transformed herself into Ajita, the Supreme Lord who is infallible, and got on Garuda and flew away. That was it. When the demons realized that they were cheated, imagine their agitation and anger. When the Devatas realized, how Krishna had protected them as Kurma, as the 1,000-handed form, giving them breeze, giving them encouragement through the modes, coming as Ajita, coming as Dhanvantri, ending the pastime with Mohini Murti, they gave thanks and gratitude to Krishna. And the demons decided, now we have to attack the Devatas. But they were in trouble because the Devatas were powerful. They had nectar. And because they had nectar, a great fight ensued. In fact, the fight was so powerful, Bhagavatam tells us, simply by hearing about it, the hairs on our bodies would stand. That's how powerful the fight was. But the Devatas were so powerful that Bali Maharaj nearly died on the battlefield. It came to a point where Narada himself had to stop the battle and say, take Bali away, because Bali has to recover. And so Sukracharya took Bali and went away and gave him Sanjivani and revived all the demons who were going to die. And that is how the Devatas conquered the demons, on the strength and the mercy of the Lord in this most beautiful pastime of the churning of the milk ocean. And so Shukadev Goswami concludes this beautiful pastime in 8:9:29 of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there, he says very nicely this shloka. Yad yujjate suvasu karma manovajopi dehat majadishu nibrishtat asat pritakvad tair eva sad bhavati yat kriyate pritakvad sarvasya tat bhavati mula nishechanam ya. The translation is very nice. In human society, there are so many activities for the protection of one's wealth, one's life, by words, minds, and action. But they are always performed for personal or extended sense gratification. So we do so many things in this world, but actually for ourselves. That's the point. And all these activities that we do in that way, like the demons, it will baffle us actually, because we become separated from devotion to Krishna and it becomes implicated and we are in difficulty. But Bhagavatam concludes, when the same activities are performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, Haritoshanam, then whatever results that we get actually, it is distributed to everyone. Everyone benefits. Just like if you pour water on the root of a tree, it is distributed throughout the entire tree. So the Devatas show us something very important. We must learn to see the hand of Krishna in the most challenging of situations. Being peaceful and patient, premised on the foundation of sincere devotional service, is the royal road to becoming better devotees of the Lord. If we are not peaceful and patient, if we don't absorb Bhagavatam and make Bhagavatam the standard of our behavior, then we will become agitated and we will become consumed by anger. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Srila Gurudev ki. I can take a question if there is a question.
More than question, Prabhu, there is comment. You have summed up so wonderfully in describing and opening our eyes how the Krishna is helping us in our life in so many ways we don't even realize. So thank you. If somebody, your time is up, but if there's any question, I will ask. Please go ahead and mute yourself and ask question. Prabhu. Ram Gidari Prabhu, you have question for Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Devikan Prabhu.
Dandavad, it's so nice to always hear you, Prabhu.
As always, wonderful class. And personally, I don't have any questions, but I just sincerely appreciate and pray to the Lord that may you win many souls to Gologadam. Hare Krishna.
Very kind of you. I pray for that from all of you too, Prabhus and Matajis. I wish you all the best in your devotional activities for the year and for the next year. And Krishna willing, I pray to be of service whenever you think it's suitable.
Right. Hope we will see you next month. Final call. Anyone has question? Mother Prabhu, you have a question? No. No question. Okay. So I think Abhishek has prepared us not to ask questions. So everybody has it. Amrita, you have no question?
In our effort to cooperate with the Lord, we do make mistakes. Here, there are no examples as such of demigods. They were very patient and all, but we do make mistakes. We do apologize and all, but then still Krishna is somewhere, he'll be disappointed with our mistakes. So how do we rectify or how do we deal with Krishna in such situations?
Very nice point. Because we are so much more fallible than the great Devatas, the mistakes will always be there. And Prabhupada says that we are living in an atmosphere surcharged with mistakes because of defective senses, because we are living in this world, no one is free of mistake. And even Krishna recognizes, Mataji, that every endeavor is covered by some fault in this world. Krishna is very kind. He created this world because we wanted to be separate from him. So he understands that because we are so fallible, we will fall very often. But one thing will attract Krishna is sincere repentance. Whenever we are making mistakes, if we are genuine and taking serious and sincere steps to rectify the mistakes, and then depending on Krishna, Krishna becomes pleased. In the second prayer of the unborn child in the third canto, 31st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. No, I think it is 30th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it is 3, 30, maybe 12 or 13. When you have time, Mataji, you can see. The unborn child prays to Krishna, that shloka is Yastvatra Baddha Iva Karma Bi Avritatma. That verse. Over there's one line. Atapyamana Hridayam avasitam namami. Atapyamana. Atapyamana means one who is repentant, hridayam, in the heart. That means Krishna, the unborn child says, Krishna, you can be perceived in the heart by one who is repentant. So if we try to repent, Mataji, to the best that we can, then Krishna appears in our heart to guide us as super soul. Krishna is so kind that no matter how many mistakes we make, he never gives up on us. We gave up on him a long time ago, and by Prabhupada's mercy, we're coming back. But he has never given up on us. But that doesn't mean we take advantage of that, but it means that we are very cautious and very serious to change our lives and be guided by the principles of Bhagavatam. That's all we can do, but that will please Krishna. I hope that's helpful, Mataji.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. And I hope we'll see you next year.
Sure,
Not too
Krishna
far
willing,
away.
not
Thank
too
you.
far away. Wishing
you.
all of you the best. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare
Glory
Krishna,
to Srila
Prabhuji. Thank you very
Prabhupada.
much,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Srila
Jai,
Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Vancha
Let's do the
kalpana
Vaishnava
vacha.
Pranam and we can end.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo
Stanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavyo Namo Namah.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
You
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.